up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am back on the floor of our nursery because this room has the best lighting. And for today's video, I thought I would give you a little just whole like story update of my whole first trimester. Now that I'm in the second trimester, I feel like I can kind of give a whole talk about my experience. So I'll just kind of get right into it. We found out that I was pregnant 3 weeks and 2 days. At 3 weeks and 2 days, so it was so early, like so early. And the only reason that I took a test was because I had 3 days of cramping, but it was like the super light cramping that you have before you get your period, but it was at the total wrong time. My period was always like right on time, so the fact that I was having 3 days of those cramps way before my period, like it never turned into anything. I was like, okay, something's up, I think. So I looked it up and it sounded like implantation cramping. So I decided to take a test and it was positive, and then I took like 1,000 more because I still wasn't convinced because it was just so early, because that's the only thing that I experienced. I feel like for about 2 weeks after that, I really did not feel pregnant at all. Like maybe my back was a little sore, but that also totally could have been all in my head because I don't know, I just like when you find out at 3 weeks, 2 days, you're barely even pregnant. So I didn't really have any symptoms until like 5.5 weeks, and that's when I got sick, but not like pregnancy sick. I ended up getting, I don't know, some sort of virus. I had a fever of like 101 and my stomach kind of hurt, and I was like chills and didn't have an appetite, and my nose was all stuffy. I had a headache, just like a miserable weekend. And then after that is when I started feeling like pretty nauseous all the time, and it took a few days for me to realize that it was pregnancy nausea and not just like me being sick nausea, because that sickness like sucked really bad. You know when you have a fever and it's just like everything, it hurts to move, your muscles are achy, and like nothing sounds good and you're just miserable? Well, that's what I had at like 5.5 weeks. So going into my 6th week, I think I would say like week 6 is when I really started to get sick. But I wasn't throwing up or anything. I was just super nauseous all the time. Like no food sounded good, but I was never actually getting sick, which honestly was so annoying because I felt like I was gonna puke like 24/7, but I never puked. It was the most frustrating thing ever. And I had just so many aversions. I can't think of a single food that sounded good during that time. I was pretty much just eating like plain bagels and ramen because it was the only thing that I like could even stomach. My sense of smell was also super heightened during that time, so like any food that had a really strong smell, whenever Kayla would cook with like vinegar, or even if he made like anything with peanut butter for some reason, oh, it just made me, it smelled so bad to me. So I really only ate foods that didn't have a strong smell, just like plain noodles with vegan butter and stuff from I think like week 6 to week 8, and for those 2 weeks I didn't throw up at all. I was just super nauseous, and my sense of smell was heightened, and I was really tired, like to the extent that I would sleep from like 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning, and then if I was home that day I would still take like a 2 to 3 hour nap, and I still felt like I had pulled an all-nighter. Like I was just so tired all the time. It was crazy. And then I've also been out of breath since like as long as I can remember. I don't remember the last time that I could like talk or walk upstairs or like do anything and not feel slightly out of breath or like very out of breath. So yeah, around week 8 I think is when I started throwing up, which was so also very annoying because the first time I threw up saltines. So everything that I was throwing up was things that they tell you to eat so you don't throw up. So I was throwing up like watermelon, saltines, noodles, like everything that was supposed to be gentle on your system was making me sick. So I kind of just came to the conclusion that nothing was going to help me. I tried like sipping on water, I tried lemonade, I tried those little pregnancy pops, I tried all kinds of things, and honestly nothing worked for me. That's a question that I've been getting a lot on my Instagram, is some of you are in your early months of the first trimester and are asking me like what I did for my morning sickness, and honestly nothing. I tried so many things and nothing worked for me, and I think, you know, there's things that work for some people and there's things that don't, but don't get discouraged if nothing works for you, because it will get better eventually. It sucks, but at least the good thing about it is that you know that your body's doing what it's supposed to be doing, because I feel like if I wasn't sick I would be even more miserable because I would be so nervous that something was wrong because I wasn't having any symptoms. So me being sick at least made me like feel reassured that everything was okay with the baby before I could go to the doctor, because most doctors won't see you until you're at least 8 weeks, and finding out at 3 weeks, it was a really long time for me to like not have any definitive like you're pregnant and the baby's fine answers. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, 8 weeks is when I started throwing up. So I was throwing up really just like maybe the first time I threw up was in the morning, and then most of the time I didn't really have quote unquote morning sickness. I would feel nauseous first thing in the morning, but as long as I ate something in the morning, I was fine. And I'm actually still like that now. I would feel sick in the morning, like I would wake up and my stomach hurt so bad, but if I just like got right up and went and ate breakfast, then I was fine. And then I would feel nauseous during the day, but not like throw up nauseous. And then pretty much all of my sickness has happened at night. And even now that I'm still throwing up maybe 3 or 4 times a week, it always happens at night, which is kind of annoying. I don't know why they even called it morning sickness, but whatever. So from about weeks 8 to now, I guess, I was sick. There were a few weeks in there that things got better. So week 9 was 100% the worst week. I missed work that entire week. I could not keep any food down. I threw up every single thing I put in my body and then some. Like, I remember that night, the night of every day that week, I would sip on some water just to get something in my system, and I would throw it up immediately. Like, nothing was staying in my system. I would wake up in the morning and I would be throwing up like stomach acid because there was nothing in me. But week 9 was seriously terrible. And it's so interesting because my app, I use like the different pregnancy apps that tell you like the size of your baby and like what the developmentally is happening and all that. And every time it said that something was going to happen that week, it happened. And I remember when it turned week 9, my app was like, be prepared for morning sickness to get worse. Morning sickness usually peaks around week 9. And oh my god, it was awful. So I remember like I could not handle, if Caleb was cooking, I was in the other room with the door shut. I could not handle the smell of anything that he was doing. Everything smelled so bad. Everything made me sick. I slept pretty much that entire week, and Caleb was actually home with me that whole week, so it was nice. He kind of took care of me. He's been taking really good care of me this whole time. But I couldn't even get off the couch. I was basically bedridden. I was exhausted. I hadn't eaten in days. It was terrible. And then week 10 rolled around and I was still throwing up most days, but it wasn't like constant. It was like every night pretty much. And I remember still feeling tired, but it wasn't to the point of like total exhaustion. And I was going to work, which actually getting on my feet was helping a little bit, and I was able to keep breakfast and lunch down and sometimes dinner, which was giving me more energy. Really, like the main first trimester symptoms I had was morning sickness, like severe exhaustion, and sensitivity to smells. My acne was also really bad the entire first trimester. I talked about this in our gender predictions video. My acne has been so bad. I seriously looked like a teenager going through puberty. Like my whole forehead and like big ones on my cheeks and stuff, I was miserable. And that does not help when you're puking and you're starting to gain a little bit of weight because you're starting to get a baby belly and you're just like, you don't feel yourself, and then your acne is just terrible. So you feel disgusting both physically and mentally, and it's just miserable. The first trimester is so hard. Honestly, it's so hard. Oh my gosh, my boobs. I forgot to talk about the boobs. My boobs grew just like overnight. I feel like I woke up and my boobs were like 2 cup sizes bigger. Sorry, I have to like, even just thinking about it, I have to fix my bra because none of my bras fit because my boobs are way bigger now. They hurt all the time. Literally all the time they hurt. I am like an A cup. I've never felt my boobs ever. Like I literally, before getting pregnant, had never had boob pain. Now I have boob pain every day. So yeah, definitely like in here on the sides is really sore, which I know that that's where your milk comes from, so that's probably it. But definitely boob like engorgement, I guess. They grew in size a lot, and they've been super sore, like really painful, especially in the morning when I like first sit up. I'm like, oh my god, they hurt so bad. Oh, also talking about boobs, this is kind of funny. I've never had like sensitive nipples, so I never really felt those either, which I've heard a lot of people talk that they do have them like on their period and stuff. So the first day that I did feel like sensitive nipples, I think it was early on, maybe 5 or 6 weeks pregnant. I remember like coming home and being like, babe, my nipples hurt, and I was like so excited because I think it was my first symptoms that I felt before I started feeling sick and stuff was sensitive nipples. So I was like super stoked that I was feeling something, and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, guess what, my nipples hurt. And I was on speaker and my dad was like, oh my god. Yeah, I guess those are the main things that I've experienced, so I'll try to get back on track with what I was talking about. So yeah, week 9 was really bad. morning sickness wise, and then week 10 it was bad but not as bad, and then weeks 11 and 12 honestly were great. I didn't throw up once. I was still feeling kind of tired, but I felt like my energy boosted so much. I had so much more energy. I wasn't craving foods, but foods didn't sound so disgusting to me anymore. Like for up until 10 weeks, or up until 11 weeks, I guess, food just did not sound good. I never wanted to eat. Caleb had to force me to eat anything because I was just like, nothing sounds good. I don't want it. I had no desire for food. And then weeks 11 and 12, I was finally like, oh, maybe we should make like this for dinner, or maybe I'll have this for breakfast, which I hadn't felt in so long. Like I missed wanting to eat, so that was so nice. And like I said, I wasn't throwing up at all. I was still feeling nauseous in the morning and at night, but as long as I was eating, it was totally fine. And then week 13 came around and I started throwing up again, which was just so annoying because I thought that I was officially past it, because they normally say like around weeks 12 or 13 your morning sickness starts to go away. So I thought that at week 11 I was just lucky and it was going to be gone, but week 13 I threw up quite a bit, probably like 4 or 5 times that week, which was really frustrating just because I thought that I was past it. On my first doctor's appointment, I guess I can talk about my first doctor's appointment, I went at exactly 8 weeks, and they did like, it was the longest appointment that I'm gonna have, basically them doing like the whole medical history stuff and me deciding what kind of testing I want to get done and all of that. So I decided I don't want to get any of the like Down syndrome and any of those tests done, because it's not going to change anything. It'll probably just make me worry, honestly, but I wouldn't choose to terminate the pregnancy no matter what. So I decided not to bother with those tests. I think it would just give me more anxiety in the long run. But I did get the sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis blood tests done, and they both came back negative, so that's good. And I got a huge, like, so many blood tests done, so much blood, and everything came back good. My iron levels were good, all of my platelets or whatever, all they test for, like, everything came back perfect, so that was really good. So then at my 8-week appointment, I requested to have an early ultrasound because my insurance covers 3, so I decided to ask them to do one early, because just for my own peace of mind, I've had a few people in my life recently have miscarriages, and I just really needed to hear my baby's heartbeat before I could feel comfortable telling anybody. So at 9 weeks, the following week, we had our first ultrasound, and we got to hear the heartbeat, and it was 175, so super fast, super strong, just like this tiny little bean. It was so cute, but it was so fun. I didn't cry, but it definitely teared up because it was just so cool. It's like just crazy that there's just like a thing growing in you. So my first appointment went really well, and our first ultrasound went really well. And then I've had another appointment since then, and I have one in like 2 weeks. At the second appointment, it was basically just like, how you doing, how you feeling? I got to hear the heartbeat again, and it was 160, so both still in the baby girl range, so we'll have to see about that. I talked about that in the gender prediction video too, which I'll tag down below if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, so all of my doctor's appointments have gone well. We are dying to have our next ultrasound because it's when we'll find out if we're having a boy or a girl, and I cannot wait. Yeah, other than that, I feel like that's kind of the rundown of my whole first trimester. I hope I answered all of your guys' questions. A lot of you seemed interested in me filming this video, and I knew it was just gonna turn into me rambling, but I figured that was the best way to do it. So actually my lower back hurts really bad right now. I'll have to remember that for my second trimester update. We're really excited. I'm so happy. I can't believe I'm even filming this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below what kind of videos you want to see, pregnancy related and not. I'm still going to film non-pregnancy videos. I actually have a few ideas for some of those coming up here soon. So yeah, let me guys know what you guys are interested in seeing. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!